Hey, how's it going? John and Andy again with Car Repairs Made Easy. Today we're working on a 2006 DTS Cadillac, and we are going to do front hub bearings and show you how to do that. Here's our vehicle. Andy's down there ready to go, and that'll be coming up next.
Okay, here we are. We got a car up on jack stands. Wheels are off. In this particular car, they have a screw here that holds the rotor on. That's usually used for manufacturing, but we're going to put it back in when we're done. Just break that loose, do it by hand, because sometimes they're rusted in, they'll strip out, then you don't want to have to deal with that. Take that off. I've already unlocked the steering wheel. Grab something here because this guy's been driving this car, so these brakes are hot. Turn the wheel here, we got to get the brakes, caliper, and the rotor off. So these should be 13 millimeters. This is essentially just like doing a brake job and replacing the rotors. This is the first part of this. So that's the wrong way. We will take this slide pin out, or the mounting bolt. Should have did this first. Get in here on the edge of the rotor and just push the pistons in just a little bit, enough to swing the caliper up. This one won't come out. I'm going to take the bolt off. I'm going to take this top one off here. I'll get the caliper out of the way. We can just set it back here on the control arm. There's no real tension on the brake hose. The brake pad's off. Make sure you pay attention to where they came from. You'll see the circles here. These go against the pistons because you want to install the pads back in the same place they were in. Now we need to take this bracket off. We have two 15 millimeter bolts back here. I hope you can see that. Okay, we have our caliper bracket, caliper out of the way, and brake pads off. Now we need to take these two 15 millimeters bolts out to get the caliper off, or the caliper bracket. We're going to use a real long ratchet, a 15 millimeter socket to break these loose. And get some of this out of the way. These are going to be really tight. That's why you want the longest ratchet you can find to give you more leverage.
Or a breaker bar.
Now we have those loose. What we're going to do is we're going to sneak on there with our impact gun and zip them out. One. And that just comes off. We're going to try to do this without taking the tie rod end loose, but I think we're going to have to. Get the rotor off. Hot, hot, hot. Alright, now one important thing is you need a 34 millimeter socket to get this axle nut off. We're going to try to take this off without putting rust penetrant on it first. Sometimes they'll come off.
You need a battery. Hang on, I'll grab it.
Now we got a fresh battery, we get more power. That's that. Right, now what we need to do back here, I don't know if you can get a good shot of it. There's three.
Let's see if I can get under here.
Right here, one up here on the top of the axle, and the third one on the other side. is a 13mm bolt that actually holds the hub on. And I know John mentioned wheel bearings, but it's actually the hub and bearing assembly we're replacing. So what we're going to do is get in here and try to break these loose. These are a little tricky because the axle can be in the way sometimes, especially on the top one.
Remember, for ease of access, if you push the axle in and out of the hub, it'll give you access.
Sometimes you can get this one though. Nope. Alright, what we're going to have to do is try to push the axle back and help you get to the bolts. See how that moved?
That should give you enough room. A little hottie.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm using 1/2-inch drive here, so this is going to be tough. Can't get it with the straight one. Well, I got a trick for that. We have our universal adapter that will help us get in there on a little bit of an angle. It's kind of a specialty tool. It comes in handy a lot. Or if you had a 1/2-inch drive deep 13, would have worked too. But we're going to need this. We're probably going to need this wobbly to get up here. I've got that loose. I understand most of you probably won't have these power tools, but we're just doing that for sake of time, and it makes it easier for us. This could be done without power tools. It just takes longer. Now we need to try to get in there and get that top one. This is the one that's tricky because you got to get on a funny angle. There we go. And I'm going to try to zip it out with our power tools here.
Now the reason initially they're so hard to get out is the manufacturer puts Loctite on these bolts. So they're really hard to get in and out.
Actually, this one doesn't have a bunch, but
that's that little pink stuff you see right there. It's Loctite.
Now we have to try to get this turned. We're going to use, where'd my screwdriver go? Try to get behind here. We can do this to help turn it. You can do it this way, or you can get up and go turn the steering wheel. That might be enough. Like I said, there's a third one back here. Before you take the third one out,
oh. Do you have the new part?
It's up there.
So that way I can show them where the 3 bolts. That's all right. You'll pull it off and we'll show them.
If you can come around this way, I can show them the ABS connector. You'll need to see that. So that's important. If you can see it, this harness here is for the wheel speed sensor for your analog brakes. Make sure you unplug that. And then I didn't grab pliers. I'm going to try to get this off. You don't want to break it, just get in the habit of not breaking stuff. The new one will come with a new wheel speed sensor and harness. Okay, well, we decided to do this with power tools. You may have to push this axle back in. You can get this with a ratchet, but this is just going to be easier because we're trying to give you a camera view. Get on there. Alright, now you noticed I don't know if you can see, but I held this, the front of the hub. It may fall off. You don't want it to fall on you. What we're going to do, now we have it loose, is we can push in on the axle and pull the hub out. This is going to come with it. It's your dust shield. Now when you do this, you just have to manipulate or move the axle around at the joint here to get the harness connector through here. So we just got to get this at the right angle. Almost there. There we go. And that's out. That actually there where the blue piece is your wheel speed sensors inside there. Your ABS. Make sure this goes back on in the same position it was when you took it off. As you can see, there's 3 bolt holes there. So now we're just going to grab the new one and essentially reverse the order. Now we got to put the new one on. That's this here. It's important to make sure you put the harness and the connector back in the same position, which was over here to the top left, probably about 10 o'clock. And make sure you put this on first. So feed the harness through there. Don't worry about lining it up too much. It'll kind of keep itself in place.
And that tab there is where the connector goes, right on that vacuum plate?
Okay. Yeah, once it gets through there. And what we're going to do, what you have to concentrate on now is getting this connector first. So you have to push in on the axle, just like we did to get it out. Once we get the connector through, then we can line this up. These little tabs here will kind of help line it up on the hub. Then you just got to move the axle around to line up the splines. You see that came through, so that's lined up. Make sure our harness is through here. This will turn independently of that, because this is where your wheels turn. So you can move this to line up the bolts. It takes a little bit of muscling it around, but you'll get it. And then just pick whichever one you want to start with. And try to get the bolts started. What we're going to do is we're going to get the wheel turned the other way. It'll be easier to start the top one and this one, and then we'll get the other one lined up. Okay, what we've done is straightened out the wheel a little bit. I've taken the 2 bolts and I pushed them through the holes, the 2 bottom ones. I figured out our problem was we were having a problem with lining up this backing plate. Now you can see the stud of the bolt sticking out. Now we can hold it and try to get it threaded in. That one's good. And the other ones should pretty much line up on their own. There's that one. And the other one.
Right there.
I'm going to get this top one started. Once you have them all started, then you can start tightening them down. You definitely don't want to tighten these as tight as you can get them by hand or with whatever you're using. Turn this a little bit, tighten this last one down, and then we can hook up our wheel speed sensor and then start putting our brakes back on.
That's nice and snug.
Alright, now we have those through tight. We're going to, this is our wheel speed sensor connector here. There's our black retainer. Just push the harness towards, well, it would be towards you as you're working from this direction. Just snap that in. Make sure you snap this in, or if it's broke, you zip tie it so it don't move. You don't want it catching on the axle because that'll rip the wiring apart. And that will not be something that they're going to cover under warranty for the part. And make sure you plug your ABS back in, or you have an ABS light. Now, John's playing musical spots. Now we can put our brakes back on. Here's our hole for our mounting bolt. I'll find that here. Here's that one. See how the rotor wants to fall back off? They're nice when they have them. Have this bolt here to hold it in. So they use at the assembly plants, so those high-paid men and women can build these cars fast. This doesn't have to be over tight, just snug so the rotor doesn't move. Now we can get a good grip on this to turn it. It's still hot. Alright, what's next? Caliper bracket. And the two 15mm bolts. Those started, make sure you always start all nuts and bolts by hand. Don't start them with power tools or ratchets. You run a risk of cross-threading stuff. Take our 15. These you want extremely tight. Now we have our brake pads. This is the outside pad. That's what fits there. And this one has the round marks. That's from the pistons. Slide those in. But we did see one comment on one of our other videos. Someone asked about sliding lubricating the moving parts and the guide pin or the slide pins. These don't necessarily have slide pins, they're just bolts. You don't really want to grease these anti-rattle clips because especially here where we're at in the desert, it gets real hot. You don't want that grease to get onto the rotors. That's why we don't do that. Just make sure they're clean and not full of rust. Don't have your hose twisted. Slide this back on. Now this one we're not going to use a power tool to put these on because we don't want to twist anything. These we're going to tighten by a regular hand ratchet, or you can use a wrench. These nice and tight. And that's it. That's the right front hub and bearing assembly. Now we're going to go around and work on the other side.
You need to put that center nut on the
Oh
axle.
yeah. Well, you remember that, because I don't know, maybe the heat's getting to
It's
me.
freaking 120 in the garage. We're having a hard time working, but you know, we're gonna film what we can. I got swamp coolers and fans going, it's just not helping.
This you'll tighten down as tight as you can get it. If you're using a power tool, you'll hear it when it seats. You'll hear the difference in the sound. You'll know it's tight. And if you heard the change of the tone, plus it stopped turning, do another little snug there. All right, now we're done with this side. All right, now we're going to go to the other side and do the left side.